Welcome to Marci Talks Money and Life with your host, MoneyMarci.
Hello, I am MoneyMarci. Welcome. I am thrilled to welcome today's guest, Stefon Bowman. Stefon is an educator, financial literacy advocate, and co-founder of Financially Lit. Luxury is Teachable, a program helping students and families build real-world money skills through financial education and entrepreneurship. With more than 10 years in education, he teaches financial literacy at KIPP Bold Academy in Newark, New Jersey, and has reached hundreds of students and families through innovative classroom experiences, community workshops, and large-scale events. Most recently, Stefon helped lead the third annual Financially Lit Mother's Day Market, bringing together more than 100 vendors and over 500 attendees to celebrate entrepreneurship and community wealth building. His work has been featured by Chalkbeat and News 12 New Jersey for its innovative approach to preparing young people for financial success in the digital age. Stefon feels strongly that teaching young people about money can't wait until adulthood. Welcome, Stefon.
Thank you for having me, Marci.
I'm thrilled to have you here. So tell me, how did you get here? Because you started as a math teacher, right?
Yes, so I am a math teacher by trade, but I've naturally always talked about money. I was like the math teacher where if I'm teaching you multiplication and I got like the deer in headlights look, I will always resort to money. And suddenly the kids would get it. Me get into financial literacy, it kind of was like a match made in heaven. But I've taught in South Carolina, California, New York, and now New Jersey. I've taught second grade all the way up to sixth grade math. And then a couple years ago, about almost 3-4 years ago, I had this idea. I was talking to my coach one day and he asked me like, yo, like it was like an icebreaker. And he asked me, what would I teach outside of math? And I was like, either studying skills because the kids have no clue on how to study, or I would teach them about money because like who doesn't want to make money? And we laughed it off. And then later on, maybe like 2-3 months later, the opportunity presented itself for me to become an enrichment teacher. And they were like, well, what do you want to teach? And I was like, financial literacy. And they were like, well, go. And I was like, for real? And it's no looking back since then.
So are you only teaching financial literacy or you're still teaching math?
I only teach financial literacy. I tell all the people in my school, I retired from being a math teacher. I'm retired. I teach financial literacy now. So with anything concerning money, I can answer the question, but math, But I always joke around. I always end up in math teachers' classrooms, teaching fifth grade math. Like I'm on the fifth grade team here. So like I've done like the guest celebrity teacher of the day, and I go teach them about ratios and percentages. And yeah, so I'm always a math teacher. My family originated in math. Like my grandmother was a math teacher, and she was a college professor teaching math. So like I've always been, math has been my thing.
Now, we're a numbers family too, so I get it.
Yes,
I'm a
yes.
CPA. My husband is a computer programmer. One of my sons
Ah,
is a computer programmer, and the other one is
so
a math
wait.
teacher.
So let me ask you, when growing up with your kids, were you like in the store formulating like the tax and like, hey, it's 30% off, like, this is how much it should be? Were you that
No, I
person?
wanted them to find their own interests and their own way, and they found math on their
They
own.
found it. Got you. So I remember like growing up, we would go into like the department stores and like back to school shopping. I remember vividly my aunt and my grandmother, they would like, we would just walk around and like, I'm like, oh, I like these jeans or I like that shirt. And they'd be like, oh, it's $20. All right, it's 30% off. And they'll like literally give me the number. And then I used to be so amazed when we got to the register and the cash register, the cashier would tell us how much it was. And I'm like, you said that. And I'm like, I teach math. Like I know math. And I'm like, wow. So I remember like that was like my falling in love. Like that was like the thing outside of the classroom. Like I always was good with numbers, but like when I saw my aunt and my grandmother do that, I was like, oh, I gotta do that. Never did it.
So math is a family superpower for you.
Yes. We love numbers. We love numbers.
You're teaching fifth graders about financial literacy.
So I'm teaching fifth through eighth grade financial literacy. And occasionally I have some of my, now in the third year of our program here, I have a couple high schoolers that like I taught in fifth or sixth grade. So like occasionally I get high school participation too, but primarily 9 to 5, I teach fifth through eighth.
Okay, and Is it the same class for all of them that they go through, or do you have
Um,
different classes you teach?
So I teach different classes, but usually depending on the time of the year, I kind of keep everything consistent unless we have like an event coming up. So for instance, the beginning of the year, we always start with like needs versus wants, and like decision making, like the mindset, stuff, just to get kids acclimated, to financial literacy because like for me it's bigger than you just telling me about like these different financial literacy terms and you telling me what a stock is, but like if I can get you with the decision making and you actually know what to do when you actually learn those words, now you can actually apply it in real time. So I in the beginning of the year I'll start off with all the grades learning the same thing, but then it kind of varies once we get to like different events that we have. So like most recently we had Mother's Day market, and instead of like financial literacy terms for like specifically, we actually went into like the marketing part. So I got to kind of teach them about like when you're planning an event, you don't want to have a birthday party and not have people show up. So like what are you gonna do about it? We went into like the content creation, the strategy behind it, looking at like the IG logistics, like, oh, we had 10,000 views, and of the 10,000 views, 8,000 came from Newark. All right, how do we increase that number? So like eighth grade was like more that conversation, and then my fifth graders were like making content that we posted on our page as opposed to being like the strategists. So it just varies.
I know you have this philosophy of making financial literacy a kitchen table topic. So how do you
Yes.
make that work, and do they take it home and talk at their kitchen tables?
Yes. So I'm big on relationship building. So like a lot of the kids now at my school, I've taught either an older sibling, a cousin, or I'm currently teaching either both siblings in the same grade on a day-to-day basis. So we talk about this thing called compound impact. So what I expect of my students, and we talk about it like in the beginning, is like, hey, we can be learning these financial literacy terms, but like your job is to go home, have these same conversations with your parents, because the goal is, once your family gets consistent in talking about these financial literacy terms, these different mindsets that we're talking about, now just naturally when you have Sunday dinner or you go out with your friends of a friend's family, now those conversations start going. So like when we look at the bigger aspect of in the community, if we can get more and more people compound impact to actually learn and start highlighting the importance of learning financial literacy, now as a community we've upped the rigor and we have a whole community actually behind like this initiative learning about financial literacy and changing their lives.
I love that term, compound impact. I don't think I've heard that
Yes,
before.
yes.
So here in Michigan, financial literacy or personal finance is now required in the high school as a semester class.
Oh, wow.
Do you have that in New Jersey?
They're talking about it. As far as I know, I don't know like the day-to-day logistics right now, but I know there's a couple laws being proposed to get high school students, all high school students in New Jersey, to actually learn financial literacy. We're a little ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was
Yeah,
wondering if they did have that
yes.
requirement, how your kids transition and the teacher would start in that. Yeah, we learned that in fifth grade.
Yes, but so like the way I look at it, like my fifth graders, even if we're talking about need versus wants, a fifth grader has a different experience with money as opposed to being an eighth grader. So like even on in one school year, I have some kids where at the beginning of the year, they're the kid going to the corner store every day buying the bacon, egg, and cheese. Like they got the juice bars, they got everything. But then if they're eighth grade, hey, at some point you got to start prepping for social because you want to be at the party with your friends. You also want to dress nice. You want to look apart. You want to have the social send off. You have all these different things you have to spend money on. But as opposed to a fifth grader, you might just have your birthday party coming up. So like the level and kind of intricacies that each grade level kind of experiences with money, it differs. So like we might hint on a topic, but the conversation always leads to what they're actually going through in their life at that moment.
So how are enrichments at your school? Is it every day or a couple of times a week if they're
So
in your
we
class?
have we have 5 day weeks. We teach students 4 out of the 5. So on Wednesdays is like a half day. So we're off the schedule, and usually Wednesdays, like today, they're doing I ready math testing. Last week was I ready ELA. So depending on what those Wednesdays, the half day schedules, we either have like an event, some kind of testing, or it might be like, hey, it's a whole school celebration or a whole school initiative. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, I'm with fifth through eighth every day.
Okay, because I know a lot of schools, when they have enrichments in the lower grades, you might have that enrichment 2 days a week or 3 days a week, not
Yeah, no.
necessarily every
Yeah,
day of the
I
week.
see them a lot. I see the whole building.
Let's pause for a quick break. So, do kids sign up for your class in 5th grade and in 6th grade and 7th and 8th?
So this year at the school that I'm at, everybody just takes the same enrichment, but it might differ on like which quarter that you have. Last year at my previous school, where I started off in KIP and I was a math teacher there, and then the last 2 years of me being there, I started the financial literacy program. But initially last year they would actually, like, at the beginning of the quarter, they would list their top three choices, and then by the time the quarter, like, we're trying, like, as a grade level, we're trying to get kids where they wanted to be. But eventually I would end up teaching everybody.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a nice gift to give them at that age, to have them
Yeah, it's a
start
little bit
thinking about
independent.
money.
It's independency, and a lot of the kids now, the kids know me as the money teacher. So I don't really have to promote my enrichment because it's like, hey, do you like money? They're like, yeah. Well, and they're like, wait, oh, that's you. So I don't really have to plead my case for my enrichment too much.
And you bring in AI tools, and so you're also teaching kids how to use AI responsibly.
I am, yes. Because I naturally use AI, and I'm also a part, like, just within KIP. I was a part of like the early initiative of actually introducing AI into the network. And again, I'm a nerd, low key. So I do like a fellowship with a AI fellowship, trying to like learn and like how you actually implement AI into the classroom and like make it best used for teachers, students, and, like, policymakers. So the way this quarter, my I realize a lot of the kids now, they use ChatGPT or they might like use Claude, but it's like they treat it as Google. So they'll literally come up, like, I might have a fifth grader that, like, let's just say hypothetically they're struggling with reading. You write on a first grade level, you go on ChatGPT, you do know that ChatGPT can produce an essay, but you'll produce this essay and it's like, who wrote this? Not you. That is not so I kind of teach them, like, it's not ChatGPT is not the all end all. Like, that's not, it's a tool, but you have to actually train that tool. You have to provide it with the correct information. Is how you ask the ChatGPT, your the AI, like, what are you actually trying to do? Are you using your authentic work? Because if you just give it something generic, you're going to get a generic response or a generic result. But if you actually tailor it and you're very descriptive, you're being detailed, you're going to get exactly what you're trying to get, but in a very faster pace. So that's really what I want them to get with AI. Is like, you need to use it as your assistant, because I can think of 50 million things to do, but it might take me a while. But I can actually go on with AI and be like, hey, give me 500 different ideas about financial literacy, and I can get that in 10 seconds.
And how do you teach them to use it for financial literacy?
Recently, we just did a lesson where so outside of just financial literacy, I like to we have some problems where students, they just know the community that we live in, like, just like, due to life circumstances. So a big thing that I have to kind of like address is the exposure to financial literacy, and, like, what these things might look like, because I'm fighting TikTok, Instagram, everything. So with exposure, in the sense of, I had them actually I built this GPT where they could interview celebrities about financial literacy. So we're in Newark, well, we're from Newark. So, like, one of the celebrities I included on the list was Shaquille O'Neal. Everybody knows Shaq. But a lot of people don't. If you're learning financial literacy, you see Shaq in a different light. He's not just a great NBA player. Like, no, he's a great entrepreneur. Like, Shaq is one of those players. He knows money, and if you just kind of, like, research and tailor your life depending on, like, some of the same decisions he did, you might be pretty good. Like you said. So I had them actually, like, set up the chat GPT, and we talked about, like, the level of questioning, because I can ask you a generic question, but I can ask you a very specific question which is tailored for me and, like, who I am. So, for example, it might be a fifth grader might say, hey, we've been learning about needs versus wants, but my parents are starting to give me a $20 allowance next year because I'm walking to school. How do I actually save up $500 by the end of the year while still being able to, buy a breakfast sandwich here and there? They can actually go on there and interview and get a response from, it's not exactly Shaq, but it's Shaq's personality that I built into the bot, and it gives them an answer based on Shaq's personality and his experiences, and then it fits to whatever they're asking her.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I include some of the celebrities like they're big music fans, so like NBA YoungBoy, like anybody you can pretty much think of, I can build it into the bot, and then they actually get to talk to that celebrity. So it's money investment mentors. They get to quiz up and interview. Which kind of helps us because in our in-person events now, that level of questioning, they actually, when they get in front of real entrepreneurs, they get to ask them questions, and it's questions that like they can literally take from that moment and go out and apply it in the real world. And that's really what I stress. Like, I don't want to just give them these different things, and like 2 years from now they might say, hey, I heard of that, like Mr. Bowman taught me that. No, I want them to actually be able to say like, hey, I remember doing that, and I already know this is what I've been doing when I learned that. Like, they can actually go out and apply it that same very day.
And I know you talk about entrepreneurship with your class, and you've created the Young Entrepreneurs Club.
Yes. So, backstory, when back to COVID. During COVID, I was a math teacher. And during that time, I actually started my first business, which is Jeggy Kicks. So Jeggy Kicks is more of like it started off as like a resale business, because I'm a sneakerhead, diehard sneakerhead. So like I've been known as the teacher with all the kicks. Like, the kids know they just pay attention to my shoes. I'm the one telling. I will literally take my whole lunch period talking about shoes with them. Like, they know I'm that guy. But like during COVID, I started a resale business. And a lot of my fifth graders at that time, they were there from like the early stages. And even when I was teaching math, I would be talking about my business. So when I naturally came over to financial literacy, I started using the same examples of, like if I'm talking about budgeting, I had actually used some of my budgeting tools that I use for like merch that I was buying. Or like, hey, this sneaker is releasing. This is kind of like my budgeting for this release. So like they got to see my real world application, which they were able to apply it. And they knew like, hey, Mr. Bowman's not just telling me financial literacy terms. Like, nah, this is like real world what it looks like in that role. So I started teaching about entrepreneurship, and at bare minimum, a lot of the kids, they like the independency. So when they actually, and my whole thing is about exposure, and like, like if you really like the crochet, well, you like money too. Why not try crocheting and make money from it? Like, it's an added bonus. And similar to me, like I love sneakers to the point where like, I can go sell a bunch of my sneakers and I enjoy it, and I still have my sneakers and I get money. Why not? So they kind of, that mindset is what I brought into the financial literacy term. So like a lot of kids like now, I have in fifth grade, like this year, it was different. My fifth graders were the strongest vendors that I had, which I thought it was gonna be my eighth graders. But my fifth graders, you come in here, hey, I got a business. You wanna buy something? Like, hey.
What kind of things do you have? What kind of things, I guess, are your students deciding that they want to?
They have I have some great bakers. So we talking about cookies and cream cookies, Biscoff cookies. We have the cakes. We have chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate covered pretzels. We have different types of bracelets. We have a waist bead maker. I have one of my eighth graders. He didn't vend with me this year, but he's been planning out his own clothing line. So he's been going through that process throughout the year. I have some students where they're learning, like they're into photography. So like they actually go and like they record stuff for people. Like those are my videographers within Financially Lit. I have, let me see, the keychains. We have keychains. I have one student, him and his mom, they make fresh juice. They've been doing that all year. I have sweet potato pies. I have, oh, what am I forgetting? Oh, if they hear this, they gonna be like, really, Mr. Bowman? Necklaces. The it's the oh God, all the kids play with it's
Fidgets,
like
the
Play-Doh.
squishies?
It's like the squishies. Oh my God, I
I
have
don't want you
squishies
getting in trouble
galore.
with your students because you
Yeah,
don't mention
thank you,
something.
thank you. I have squishies. We have the slime. I do have some kids. They went the snack route because a lot of kids around here like Takis is like the thing around here. So I have some kids selling snacks. I have snack bags. I have, oh gosh, that's a lot. I can't even remember
Do they only have
everything, but
stores
it's
like at certain events throughout the year, or are they
um
always running the
so
entrepreneurship?
So they run it. So I have some. It depends on their level of it. So like I have some students. Like I have a kid now. She's been vending with me pretty much every event, but she also brings cookies occasionally throughout the week. So she'll sell the cookies on her own. So I don't even have to. The only like we talk about like, hey, make sure you're selling during these times. Hey, do you actually have some cookies? Because like the teachers buy, like it's like a whole kind of like philosophy. Everybody's been involved. So like if you are at that point where you can manage selling cookies outside of like, just being at my events, I let them run it. And the kids know, like the teachers, the staff, the families, like they know as long as you communicate with me and like we're in sync, we're good. But like, I don't really have too many kids where they just start selling stuff and it's like, oh, I'm hiding from Mr. Bowman. That's not like a thing. Because a lot of the kids know like I'm that teacher where I'm like, hey, I'm supporting myself and I will tell you, hey, y'all love all the kids over there. I got some of the kids over here selling. Let's go. Instead of going to the corner store, we buying with them. Or hey, did you try so and so cookies? Because look, you don't need to waste money over here. You can come over here. So like a lot of kids, they thoroughly enjoy like the excitement. Like, oh, Mr. Bowman's buying my cookies. Oh, my favorite teacher's buying my cookies. Or the principal. Oh, the principal. If you get the principal to buy from you, oh man, you're set.
Let's pause for a quick break. So it sounds like a very unique school that you're at, that they support obviously the financial literacy initiative such as it is, but also
Yes.
having the kids do their entrepreneurship during the school day.
Yes, it's more about like the independency part and also like them being able to apply it real world. Like is more thing we have at our school is more than just being able to like be strong in the classroom. But if you can take it outside of the classroom and apply those same things that you're using in the classroom to benefit your life, why not? That's kind of like the mindset that we have here. And also like the kids do a good job at like, I told them like, hey, if you're selling during homeroom, that's fine. If you're selling at lunch and recess, that's fine. But like what you can't do is in the middle of your math lesson, be like, hey, anybody want to buy cookies? Because you will get shut down. We shut down businesses around here. If your behavior is not together, shut down. If your attendance is not together, shut down. If you do not have the academic grade point average, shut down. Oh, because you got bigger fish to fry. They know it's a privilege.
That's awesome. That's so important to give them those life skills moving forward, to
Yes.
recognize the things that have to happen before you can have the privilege to
Mm-hmm.
sell thing and then running the business.
For sure.
How do you help them to learn how to set their prices?
So the first intro is essentially like in sense of like brownies. All right, if you're spending $8 on brownies, okay, cool. You spent $8. You're $8 down right at this moment when you first buy that box of brownies. All right, now you got to think about like when am I gonna put the brownies in? All right, if you spent I don't know, maybe $5 on plastic baggies on Amazon. Okay. 8 plus 5, you're $13 down. Now, based on the number of brownies that you can make out of that box, you got to make sure that you at least get $13. And if you plan on making a profit, you have to set that price based on whatever amount of brownies that you have. So like let's say if you can make $30 from that one box of cookies or brownies, you're $17 up. Well, now you know you're making a profit. So as long as you're making a profit, I let them kind of do the trial and error. And I let them come up with an idea and then I show them the math behind it. Like, hey, are you cool with this? Because if you're not making a profit, I don't think you need to be doing this. And I look at them and they look at me and I'm like, decision is yours. And then I think I'm gonna go back. I think I'm gonna raise it one more time. Okay, cool. And then I have some kids where like, I had one little girl, she had she's from St. Louis, and she had these like, I forgot the name of the cakes, but like she was selling them for $1. We had some kids selling their cakes for like $4 or $5. So everybody was like, Mr. Bowman, you need to tell her she need to up her price. She need to up her price. And I even got a little concerned because I was like, I mean, she's making money, but $1, okay, you could probably. And when I started talking to her about it, I was just kind of, like, what's your mindset? Like, why did you set it for $1? And she was like, Mr. Bowman, everybody's knowing about my cakes now. Like, I bought 20 last week. I just sold 40 this week. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Like you're getting the marketability out. And then even if you up it at like a big event, she sold it at our Mother's Day market when we had 528 people. She was selling it for $2, which is still, $1 price increase is not that much, but people knew about her business. So they already knew like, hey, I know even if I pay $2 for that, it's good. It's worth it. So like she built it from that. So like I kind of let them go through that trial and error because I never want them to I never want to be the person running their business. I
Right.
don't want to be the boss. Yeah, I don't want to be the boss. So I let them go through the trials and tribulations. But I'm always that person that I'm consistently there. So like, hey, if you're not making money, all right, let's figure out why you're not making money. All right, let's try this. Let's do this. If you are making money, well, how do you stay consistent? How do you actually make more money? How do you sustain this for, like, you did it all through fifth grade. Well, you have the summer coming up when you get back in sixth grade. What are you gonna do differently to improve?
That's awesome. You also do work for the greater community in your area.
Yes. So that stems from just kind of like my background. I'm from South Carolina. I'm a country boy. So I'm used to, like where I'm from, I literally know everybody in that area. Like it's a road, everybody's my cousin. My grandma lives on that road. Everybody's my cousin. So like I'm strongly family oriented. So me not being from New Jersey, I've traveled and lived in multiple states, but ever since I've been in New Jersey, a lot of the students and like their families, they literally just kind of like welcome me. Where like, I remember my first year here, I didn't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving. And one of my students' family just happened to text me and she was like, Miss Bowman, happy Thanksgiving, but what you doing for Thanksgiving? Like, you got somewhere to go? And I was like, I actually was about to go find something on Uber Eats. And she was like, come to my house. Here's my address. So I end up eating with my students' families. And come to find out, now they're like that's family. Like that's my Ariana's my kid. So like, it's been for me, for a city that I'm a transplant, but for me, some of the relationships that I built, it's just you can't tell me it's not family. So that's my due justice and like my give back. Is like giving back to the community. Because they've taken care of me and they continue to take care of me here in Newark. So why not?
What made you move? You started in South Carolina, all your family's there. Did you need to go someplace where they didn't know you?
So, growing up in South Carolina, I love South Carolina. Like if I had to get reincarnated, I would be from South Carolina again. But one thing, growing up in South Carolina, there was not a lot of access. Like my first concert, like big name concert, was in 12th grade, my senior year of high school. Other than that, you had to travel 2 hours away just to get something of quality. Or like, I remember, I'm a sneakerhead, so like I remember having to ask my mom to drive me an hour and a half out from where we were from just to get. Oh, that's the only place in South Carolina dropping these shoes. Can we please go there on that Saturday morning? So I always knew I wanted to get to a bigger state. So during that time, when I first started teaching, I taught in South Carolina like 3 years. And I was like, okay, it's time to go. Like I went to school in South Carolina, high school, college, career, and I was like, okay, I need something different. So I started applying for jobs in Georgia, North Carolina. I think I did a couple jobs in Texas, and then like late one night, I'm like up on LinkedIn and I saw a job for California. I was like, why not? I never go to California. I actually got a response from them. That was the only school that responded to me. And they were like, yo, we'd love for you to come out. We'll fly you out to California. You'll get to tour the whole school and we'll give you a rental car. And I was like, I'm 20, I'm like 24. No, 23, 24. I'm like, I'm flying to Cali. Like, what? Why not? I went there, fell in love with it, and I stayed in Cali for like a year and some change. And then I had some family situations happen with my grandmother. And I was like, I got to get back to South Carolina. And I think like at that time, I think tickets to go back home, like if you just went to go book, I think tickets are like 1,100, and I was like, I don't have 1,100. So I refused to have that situation happen to me again. So that following summer, I started applying for jobs, and the next best place to California in terms of like pay scale was New York. I got a job in Brooklyn. And I was like, East Coast, Brooklyn, and I was living in San Jose. So I was like, Bay Area, New York, it's about the same thing. Different coast, maybe a little colder. So I went to New York, fell in love with New York. A lot of opportunities. Like I'm straight down 95 to get home. So like New York in the Northeast has been good to me. So I still get the opportunities, I still get the city life, but I also get to go home when I need to. A lot of my family still come up here. I still get a taste of southernness, even though I'm in New York, because a lot of Southern people end up being up here. Like in my mind, every time I meet somebody from where I'm from in South Carolina up here now, I'm like, oh, we gotta be cousins. Because the fact that you know about Sumter, South Carolina, like a lot of people don't know about Sumter. But I am definitely a product of Sumter, South Carolina. So it's cool. It's cool. That's how I ended up in Jersey and everything. So yeah, long story short.
That's great. Stefon, before we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to mention that maybe we haven't covered?
One thing I always want to push is this like sense of community. And in terms of like, with everything going on in this world, one joy that I have is actually like seeing kids, like helping kids and teaching them, like just one little aspect. The fact that I have some kids that they love me because I helped them make $3. Just as simple as $3. Like that brings me joy. I think maybe just like maybe a urge for your listeners that we could do is like if you're in a community just pushing the use of financial literacy and just helping one another. I think we could do a lot more impact. Well, we can make a lot more impact in our world, because at the end of the day, the more you know about financial literacy, the more access that you have. And where I'm from and where I'm teaching in Newark, like we could definitely use a lot more access and a lot more benefits and a lot more better living situations, a lot more. I think, a lot of things, mindsets could be adjusted just from a simple fact of us working together in the community, and pushing something like financial literacy. Like that's universal. It doesn't matter the color, it doesn't matter the skin tone, it doesn't matter where you from. Everybody can benefit from like, learning financial literacy. So that would just kind of be like my push.
Stefon, thank you so much for being my guest today. We appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. And to my listeners, I will be sharing a link to Stefon's information in the show notes. Please check him out. He has a lot of interesting information.
Follow us on Instagram.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and stay tuned. I'll see you next time. This has been MoneyMarci on Marci Talks Money and Life. You got this.
Hi, everyone. This is Karen, the person who joins Marci each season for the wrap-up episode. Are you writing a book? Do you need an extra set of eyes on it? To make sure it's going in the right direction, to catch problems you really need to fix? Well, that's me. I'm a professional editor. I offer a special service, the extra set of eyes. I help you bring your ideas to life by asking insightful questions and checking your structure, theme, and tone. Call 480-485-7780 or go to myextraeyes.com. That's 480-485-7780 or myextraeyes.com.